What's good, everyone? OJ here. Welcome back to another video, and today we're talking about Nintendo and what's going to be going down for 2020 based off of what Shuntaro Furukawa, the president, the big man himself, had to say. Plus, we have some rumors on the next Xbox, the next gen, lower powered Xbox, and The Last of Us sales are killing it. So let's go ahead and jump right in first with Shuntaro Furukawa and what he had to say about the Nintendo Switch and their production for games for the fiscal year, and also the production of the Switch system itself. So let's first start with the stock of the system. So people have seen that there's a lot of scalping out there when it comes to price. $500, $600, $700, even higher in some cases. So Switches have been hard to come by in some areas. Well, Shuntaro Furukawa says don't worry about that. The production line is back to speed. So this summer there should be stock of the Switch. So don't go out there and spend the whole piggy bank. Don't break open the bank to get yourself a Nintendo Switch. If you can just hold out just a bit more, there will be more stock in stores if you just wait just a bit more for that. So don't go out there and spend crazy amounts for the Nintendo Switch, guys. Just wait up and let them get the stock back in, according to what Furukawa has to say here. But I think the more important thing that you guys want to talk about is what's going down with the Nintendo first-party games, because we haven't had a general direct in a very long time. We had a mini direct that announced a number of different things, third-party stuff and all that, but wasn't many first-party games out there. That has caused some concerns with fans. Now, we have gotten a number of announcements since then. So, for example, we got Paper Mario, the Origami King. They just dropped that on Twitter and said, hello, here you go. You know, take this, guys. And that's pretty cool. It's coming out this July. Can't wait for that game. It's looking kind of dope. And next up, we got Pokemon Snap, right? That was kind of out of nowhere. I mean, Pokemon Presents said, hey, here you go. Here's Pokemon Snap for you guys. Another Nintendo Switch title. So that's two games that you would normally maybe see in a direct that we just got announced at some other type of thing, right? So I think that there's more to come. Now, recently, we did get the first gameplay footage of No More Heroes 3. Suda51's head was blocking the action, but that game is looking pretty good, and it is a Switch exclusive on that one. So that should be 2020. Based off of that gameplay, everything's looking nice, and things are looking good with that game. So I'm excited for that. Plus, we also have Square Enix jumping into the fray with Bravely Default 2. That's going to be a 2020 game, and I think that Nintendo's also publishing that game. I know they published the Bravely Default, the original, here in the US. I know Japan, Square Enix took care of that, but here in the US, Nintendo took care of the publishing duties for that game. So I think it's going to be very similar to an Octopath Traveler type of situation with that game. So that's going to be another game that Nintendo has exclusive for the Switch in 2020. So all that stuff so far seems to be on track. Now, what about the other games? Stuff like Bayonetta 3, for example. Is that going to be a 2020 game? Well, according to what Hideki Kamiya had to say here, he says that everything's still fine with the game. They're still developing it. Don't worry about that. So I do think it's a possibility that Bayonetta 3 is also 2020. But according to Furukawa, there's not really any delays, and all of the games that were on track in terms of their games that they have for 2020, or for the fiscal year, I should say more like it. So for the year, so till March 2021, all those are on track. However, he did warn that if the coronavirus comes back in full force with the second wave, that could force more delays. But seeing how most of Nintendo's developers are in Japan and how the government is handling the coronavirus compared to how we're handling it over here in the US, it seems like there's not going to be a crazy second wave for Japan, at least for Japan. But there's lots of logistics that play a part into this, right? When it comes to the marketing side over here in the US, Nintendo of America, when it comes to the production lines in different countries and all that. So it's a worldwide effort here, but it seems like things are going to be okay, at least for Nintendo's development teams in Japan making their games working from home. Sakurai gave us a little bit of an insight in that in terms of what Nintendo sent over for him to get recording and for him to get his work done from home, and also to collaborate with the Bandai Namco team to continue making the Super Smash Bros. DLC, which we didn't see any delay in that when it comes to the ARMS character Min Min getting into Super Smash. So I think that it's going to follow the same suit with a lot of these other games that they have, which there are going to be surprises, guys. People think that there's not. No, there's definitely going to be some more surprises for this year, along with some stuff that we should already know about, right? Like, for example, the Mario Rumored Collection, stuff like that, the Mario remasters. I think those are coming, plus we should get another surprise or two on top of that, and there could be some pretty cool stuff from Square Enix outside of what we already know. Maybe there's some more classic stuff coming back, but we're going to have to wait and see on that one. So, what do you guys think about what Shuntaro Furukawa had to say here, in addition to what's going down for 2020? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, moving on to the next topic here. We're going to be discussing the next gen Xbox. So this isn't the Xbox Series X. That's the big, powerful box that everybody knows about that's going to have 12 teraflops and all that. What about the rumored other systems? So you see how PlayStation 5 has a standard edition, then the digital edition, but it seems like both of those are the same power, right? Well, that's not quite the case with the next Xbox. What they're doing, which I'm just gonna say, they call it like Lockhart, right? I'm just gonna call it Xbox Series S. So that system, which is going to be a lower powered, cheaper system than the Xbox Series X, we've got some details, or there's a report from The Verge on what type of power this system is going to be working with. And I find it very interesting when it comes to what Nintendo could do with their next gen Switch system as well. So let's talk about this. So reportedly, it is going to be a 7.5 gigabyte of usable RAM system, 4 teraflops of overall GPU performance. And once again, that is according to The Verge, which the CPU might be slightly underclocked as well compared to what the Xbox Series X has. Microsoft is expected to position this Lockhart console for 1080p or 1440p gaming, two of the most popular resolutions used by PC gaming monitors currently. So the pricing is going to be cheaper than what we see with the Xbox Series X, but it's not necessarily going to be cheap. I've had some people say like, oh, is this going to be like $200 then? No, it's not going to be like $200. Expect this system. I would not be surprised if it's going to be a $350 system, or if it's going to be like a $400 system. The Xbox Series X could be $500 for that system. So this system could be $100 cheaper, or maybe $150 cheaper than it. But I don't think it's going to be like a sub $300 system or a $300 system flat out. I just don't think so. With those specs, that's still really good. Now, overall, the computing power is lower than the Xbox One X, but the CPU and the architecture is a little bit more modern, right? They're using newer chips, they're using newer architecture and stuff like that. So you're probably gonna get better performance when it comes to frame rates and everything, but you're still gonna get a next gen experience with the type of SSD, right? And you're gonna get the games. So a game is going to have to run on this Xbox Series S or Xbox Lockhart, and I think that just kind of tying in what Nintendo could do next generation, if they target somewhere around this and maybe even have a supplemental computing device with the SSD in there, you could get similar types of games coming over when it comes to, if third-party developers want to take the time to put it over there. But that's a whole nother thing, right? Which I've talked about before in a separate videos and all that. I just thought that it's pretty interesting to see that you are going to have quite a bit weaker gap, right? You have 12 teraflops. I think the PS5 was like, what, 9 point something teraflops, and then you have a 4 teraflop overall computing power system, and all of these next gen games are going to have to run on this 4 teraflop system if this turns out to be true, which I do think it is based off of all the smoke that we see. There's definitely some fire with all of this smoke. So based off of that, they're going to have to get this going, and that is a huge gap just if you're talking about numbers, right? 4 to 12, I mean, that's a huge gap. It's going to be interesting to see exactly the difference between what is on PS5 and that model, what's on Xbox Series X with it being the most strongest, and then what's on the Xbox Series S and how that looks with the comparison. So Digital Foundry is probably, you know, chomping at the bit for this one here, rubbing their hands together, Birdman. So what do you guys think about this? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, and moving on to the last topic here. The Last of Us Part 2 has become the fastest selling PlayStation 4 exclusive of all time, according to Sony. There was a blog post that I tweeted out this morning from the PlayStation blog that showed that The Last of Us Part 2 has sold over 4 million copies as of June 21st. So that weekend, the game came out the 19th. So you had that day, the 20th, and the 21st. So 3 days for that weekend, 4 million units sold. Bam, big, huge sales for Sony. So I'm happy for them. I'm happy for the team over there. There's been a lot of hate when it comes to The Last of Us Part 2, which I think that some of it, when it comes to what fans' expectations are, people are allowed to complain about what they want, but at the same time, the developers, you can tell, worked really hard on this game. Whatever you think about the writing and whatever you think about the story, like, I get that, and trust me guys, we've already talked about this like a million times, and I understand. And as somebody who played The Last of Us 2 all the way through, and I actually enjoyed the gameplay. Now, I share the same issues when it comes to the story stuff. I don't like a lot of the aspects of it, but the gameplay was a lot of fun, and I thought the gameplay was a big improvement over The Last of Us Part 1, which I played that recently as well. I thought it was a big improvement over it, and they did a great job with the combat, the skill trees, and giving you just more tools to take out enemies, whether you want to roll the stealth mode, Metal Gear Solid 3 style, or whether you want to go guns blazing like Resident Evil or something like that. I thought they did a good job with that. But it's going to be interesting to see how the sales continue on. Yes, you're going to have the bulk of people rushing out there and buy it that are anticipating the game or don't pay attention to the internet. But what about a lot of the fans that are out there that are saying, oh, I'm not going to buy this game or whatever? Is this going to hinder long-term sales? Or is this going to be more like a Pokemon Sword and Shield thing where at first you got a huge rush of sales and then people said, oh, it's going to die off after the initial fanboys rush out there and buy it? But it hasn't. It's probably like at 18 million plus now, you know? So it didn't die out after that. People are still buying the game and buying the game and buying the game. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out going forward. So what are you guys' thoughts when it comes to The Last of Us Part 2 selling so much? And also, what about the Xbox Series S Lockhart and the power of the system, and of course Nintendo's 2020? Let me know in the comment section below. All right guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Check out the links in the description. We've got Twitter. Go and give us a follow on there. Stay up to date on all latest gaming news and information. Also make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video if you can. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you for the next one. Peace.